Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. We are exactly 2 months away from the presidential election of 2024. It is going to be on November 5th of 2024, so we are exactly 2 months away. And since we are 2 months away, I will be making a personal 2024 election prediction in today's video. And I will be making my predictions differently in this video. I will be going through all the states in the order in which you will see them on election night. And this would be that particular order. It would be by the times we can see here from 6 p.m. all the way to midnight, all the state polls closing. And it usually follows a general of east to west following, although it is a little mixed up. Some states are, closed more than others, even though they're more east. But either way, this would be the general times of every state's poll closings. So I'll be making my predictions in the time order. And that's how I'll be doing this map and filling out this map based on my prediction. Personally, I'll be combining some data that we have, some metrics, and implementing some models that we do see and some models that I have made for myself. First, let's take a consideration and look at the 2024 national popular vote margins. Right now, Harris leads by 1.8 percentage points. She leads most polls by a narrow amount of 1 or 2%. There's a couple 3s and 4s. Trump does lead one by 1 percentage point. There was a few that had dropped out that had him up, like this one over here. And most of them are Rasmussen that do release polls pretty often. So that gives Trump a little bit of a boost. And that counters a lot of these polls such as Ipsos and Morning Consult that are more heavily leaning towards Kamala Harris. And this is her leading by 1.8%. It hasn't really changed too much over time. It has stabilized around this margin. And I expect it to stay around this margin, maybe shrink by a little bit. It depends what happens after the debate. And the debate, that is totally another video, but the debate I do believe will be important as it was crucial in the race between Biden and Trump. So we're gonna definitely wait and see for that. But compared this 1.8% to previous times in history, on September 5th, 2016, Clinton led by 3.6, Trump ended up winning. And then the biggest out of all, September 5th, 2020, Biden actually led by 7. So going from 7 to 1.8 is a huge shift to the right. And I'm not saying that the polling error is going to be the exact same, given the fact that Biden won by 4.5. If you take that into consideration, apply those margins for errors, then Trump would win the popular vote. Right now, I do not really think Trump's favored to win the popular vote. I think it's going to be very, very close, though, even closer than 2016. Clinton might win it by Harris might win it by like a point, maybe less than a point. But, we still have time to really gauge that. However, let's get into this prediction now. And once again, I'm not going to be going over the safe states first. I'm going to be going from east to west based on those time zones. So let's begin with the 6 p.m. Eastern time closings, where we do have the states of Indiana and Kentucky both closing. Both are going to go to Donald Trump by safe amounts and should be called pretty quickly. Soon after, at 7 p.m., we're going to have a slew of closings. We're going to include the states of Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, most of Florida, and then we're going to have the states of Vermont and New Hampshire also closing in that column. Some of these states are going to take longer to call than others, but let's just fill them out now based on my prediction. First of all, the safe states, the state of South Carolina will be safe in Trump's column. The state of Vermont will also be safe in Harris's column. So we're going to be left with this map that are going to be the first major swing states. The state of Florida, I predict, will go in Trump's column by a likely amount. He won it by 3.4 in 2020. He won it by 1.2 in 2016. It's been trending heavily to the right. And I expect a lot of the Latino population, once again, in the southeastern part, in South Florida, to trend to the left, especially Miami-Dade, which maybe we could see flipping. I don't really know. I'm not too sure. But it's definitely going to be something to watch out for, to say the least. The state of New Hampshire, right now I do have as a lean state for Kamala Harris. She's been leading by a little bit in here. She has a good lead in general, a little bit less than Biden. I do not think she's going to win by 7.4%. I think she'll win by under 6%, but still in that margin to keep her above that 2% range. Same thing for the state of Virginia. I do have it as a lean state for the Democrats. It had been trending very leftward from 2016 to 2020, and that's mainly because of the suburbs up here, and as well as the suburbs down in Virginia Beach. I do expect this state to reverse, however, since Glenn Youngkin took over, especially, and since we've seen a little bit of a change in Virginia where it has stopped trending too much to the left and come back a little bit more to the center. However, it will not be enough for her to win. There have been some polls coming out of Virginia, and most of them do have it actually at around a 3-point race, which is very surprising since we all would expect Virginia to continue trending left. But right now, I see Virginia as being in that lean column for her. And then the last final state, probably the most important state in this time closing, would be the state of Georgia, which I do have right now as tilting in Trump's column. The polls are very, very dead heat in this state, and it is practically a tie. She leads by 0.1. She had been performing well in the past 3, and then this one has it at a tie. And then we had the New York Times and Siena political report also having it as a tie as well. So this state's going to come down to the wire, I think, and it's all going to come down to turnout. Trump had won it by 5. Biden had flipped it by a narrow amount. The Atlanta suburbs definitely were a key part in this state flipping from Republican to Democrat. And this time around, it's based on that African American turnout. And since Kamala Harris is not favored, especially with that group compared to Biden, as she will not get that turnout, that COVID level turnout, especially with those ballots. And we were going to come back to this in Pennsylvania especially, but those ballot requests in many of the states have been down. Those ballot requests have been down. The voter registration has been down for Democrats a lot more than we all anticipated. And this state right now will be in that tilt column for Donald Trump. But we're going to be going now to the next time closing. It's going to be the 7:30 Eastern time closing. We're going to have North Carolina, West Virginia, and Ohio all closing at 7:30. West Virginia is going to be safe for Donald Trump, as well as the state of Ohio. He won the state of Ohio by 8 points in 2020, the exact same amount in 2016. There is no reason why this state wouldn't be safe at this point. It is going to be very, very safe in his column over that 12-point mark. And let's get now to the state of North Carolina, which I do have as a lean state for Donald Trump. And I see no reason to him losing the state, especially since he did hold on to it by 1.3 percentage points when the nation as a whole voted around 4.5 points to the left. Even to the left of North Carolina, I believe around 7 points to the left of North Carolina. But Joe Biden was able to win the country by 4.5, but still lost North Carolina by 1.5. The polls now do have it as a tight race. Trump does lead by 0.7. He leads most polls by a consistent 1 percentage point, especially the most recent ones. I do expect him to actually hold on to the state by over 2 percentage points since the national polls do show a tightening. And if Harris does end up winning by 1.8, even if North Carolina trends a little bit to the left, there is no way that it would flip Republican. There is no way that it would flip Democrat while Georgia flipping back Republican. I keep this state right now in that lean column for Donald Trump. We're going to go now to the 8 p.m. Eastern poll closings. This is going to be a slew of states coming in that I will mark all on your map right now. These are going to be the Eastern 8 p.m. poll closing. We're going to have a lot of important states closing, as well as a lot of other safe states closing. And this will include most of the states up here in the middle of the country, and then down here all the way down to Texas. But let's get started now. We're going to begin with East, and we're going to go West. The state of Maine, right now I do have leaning in her column. I think she'll win Maine by a similar margin to New Hampshire. We have Maine's 2nd district being likely for Trump, Maine's 1st district being safe for Harris. All these safe states down the eastern coast will go to her by over 12 percentage points. The state of Pennsylvania will be probably the most crucial state in this election. Right now, it is a dead tie in the polls. And I've heard a lot about the Harris campaign being very, very nervous about the state. A lot of them think they're going to lose this state. And I can see why. The polls back in 2016 and 2020 were a lot more favorable for Democrats. And right now it is a dead heat. She only leads in this Bloomberg Morning Consult poll that definitely overestimates Democrats a lot. The rest of these, even CNN, we got the Hill Emerson insider advantage, so on and so forth. Do either has it as a tie or have it as Trump being up by a slim amount. But not only are the polls a tie, but we can see here on the poly market odds where people bet their money, it had originally been a tie, but right now Trump has expanded his lead in Pennsylvania. He now leads by 10. He has a 55% chance of winning, and Harris has a 45. And I want to go to these states that we also had missed from before. North Carolina 63-37, Georgia 60-40. So Trump is favored in these three states to win them, and I do agree. I do think right now he's going to win the state of Pennsylvania by around 1 percentage point. I do have it in that tilt column, and I did make a video on my exact margins per county in the state of Pennsylvania if you want to check that out for yourself. And now we're going to get to the state of Michigan, and Michigan is going to be probably one of the closest states. Right now Harris is favored 57 to 43 percentage points. She is favored slightly in the polls. However, they have been coming down a little bit. She had led by 2. Now she leads by around 1. The polls are close. However, she does have the slight advantage, and I do agree with that. I think right now she is favored to win the state by less than half of a percentage point, but still in her column nonetheless. The rest of these states here are not going to be too safe. We're going to have the state of Illinois going to be in that safe Democrat column. And then all of these, the rest of them are going to be in that safe Republican column, apart from Texas. Texas will be likely Republican. The polls in Texas, some of them have had Trump up by a safe margin. The poly market odds have him at pretty much surely chance that he's going to win, almost guaranteed. In 2016, he won the state by around 9. In 2020, he won it by 5.6. The Hispanic trends around the Rio Grande Valley probably saved him from losing too much support. And this time around, polls and other metrics do indicate that he's going to bounce back and probably perform similar to his 2016 margins. But either way, we are completed now with our 8 p.m. poll closings. But before we continue on this video, please like and subscribe, comment down all your feedback in the section below, and check out all the other my content. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to have the 8:30 poll closings, and it's going to be only one state, the state of Arkansas, and that's going to be a safe Republican state. And now we're going to get to the 9 p.m. poll closings, and in the 9 p.m. poll closings, we're going to have a slew of other states. We're going to have the state of New York, all these states up here. You're going to have Nebraska, and then a lot of these mountain states down around here, and the state of Louisiana. So let's start off with the state of New York. New York will be a safe state for Kamala Harris, and that'll be the only safe state that we're going to fill out here. We're going to fill out some Republican safe states. Louisiana and Nebraska, except the second, Wyoming, Utah, will all be called pretty fast. The state of Iowa will be a safe state as well. It had voted around 8 points Republican in 2020, 9 in 2016. This is a right trending state, very rural, favors Donald Trump a lot. He will win it by over 12. Now we have the swing states of Minnesota and Wisconsin. The state of Minnesota will be leaning in Harris's column. Walz is from there, which is her VP, her running mate. I don't think she'll win by as much as Joe Biden did. The polls indicate her performing relatively well in the state, so I am keeping it in that lean column between 2 and 5 percentage points. She's favored very heavily in poly market, but now in Wisconsin, it's a very tight race. She is favored there because the polls do favor her, but we also have to consider that the polls are very bad in Wisconsin, where both Biden and Clinton were supposed to win by 5 to 6 around this time in history. The result ended up being Biden winning by 0.6, so it's good to take that into consideration. You know, also in the state of Wisconsin, the 2 recent polls have Trump up by 1. Once again, the Bloomberg Morning Consult poll had her up by 8. Taking that poll out, Trump would lead the aggregate. But either way, I think the state of Wisconsin does flip, and it does lean Donald Trump's column. This is a state that he had won previously and that he had lost barely due to some of those swings in the suburbs against him. And these are very minor shifts. I do believe they will swing a little bit back. These rural areas are going to swing, more towards him as it goes on. And this is a very favorable state in terms of the population, the demographics. And I think Trump will flip it back, especially since it was so close. But now the 2nd District of Nebraska, I think, will be in that Democrat column. She'll win it by a lean margin. The state of Colorado will be likely for her, a very left-trending state. it'll continue to trend left relative to the country. The state of New Mexico, I have also as a likely state. However, it'll be more on that, closer to that lean column, probably around, I'd say around 6 to 7 percentage points right now. I don't see much data to point the state being too favorable for Trump because there has been not much data released to begin with. But either way, right now I'm keeping it in that column, but do expect it possibly to fall under. We're just gonna have to wait and see in these following 2 months. The state of Arizona, now I'm moving it into that lean column. I'm moving him from tilt to lean. Trump seems to be performing very well in the state of Arizona right now. He leads the polls by 1 percentage point on average. Taking out this Siena poll, which also was released, this is a huge outlier, has her up by 5, but the rest of them have it at a very close race. She leads by 1 in one other poll, but the rest of them here, Trump is performing very well in the state of Arizona. And I think, once again, I had mentioned in the previous video that RFK support will be pivotal in the state of Arizona, and that's exactly what I pointed out, and that's exactly what we see playing out here, where Trump, I think, now leads by over 2. I give him right now around a 2 percentage point margin. This state has also surged in Trump's chances to win, where he does lead 62% to 38. So this is definitely some stuff to look out for. We're almost done now. We're going to be going now to the 10 p.m. poll closings. We're going to be capping off most of these western states. We're going to have Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Nevada. Montana and Idaho, are not going to be competitive. They're going to be safe for Trump. Oregon's going to be safe for Harris. And then we get to the swing state of Nevada. Right now, I have Nevada as tilting in Trump's column. The polls in Nevada have been extremely tight. She leads by 0.5 percentage point. They both kind of split on the polls that they lead. Trump has led the latest one. She had led the previous 4. So this is really much up for grabs. Trump does lead the betting odds 53 to 47%. So this state is going to be pivotal. Joe Biden had won it by the exact same amount as Clinton, which means it is trending to the right. And for Trump to really win the state, he will have to make gains in Clark County, the largest county, the county with most of the state's population. And due to those Hispanic trends, I think he will get that done and end up flipping the state into his column. But now to the final states in the continental US, the states of Washington and California both will be safe for Kamala Harris. And in that midnight, the poll closings in Alaska and Hawaii will cap off this election. These states will be safe in either column. Trump will win Alaska by a safe margin, and then Harris will win the state of Hawaii by a safe margin as well. And that'll be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is going to be our margins, 297 to 238. And right now, I do believe this will be the margins. This will be the map. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video. Please check out my other content, and I'll check you guys out in the next one.